And President William Ruto's proposal to Parliament seeking to amend the Constitution to create the office of opposition leader has elicited questions over potential disruption that it could have on the country's governance structure. Now, even though the president insists that the move is meant to enhance transparency and accountability, some constitutional experts have termed Ruto's proposal as an unnecessary consolation prize for the person who comes second in the presidential election. His political opponents have accused him of trying to return the aborted Building Bridges initiative, that's the BBI, through the back door. NTV's political affairs reporter Vincent Odwar interrogates.
As Parliament resumes its sessions in February next year, President William Ruto's proposal to the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Senate may mark the beginning of a journey towards amending Kenya's supreme law. Governance analysts have predicted that the creation of the office of the Leader of Official Opposition could disrupt the country's presidential system that has existed since 2010, which envisaged a majority and minority party or coalition of parties in Parliament. Constitutional lawyer Bobby Mkangi argues that the move will drastically change the structure and function of Parliament.
But in a presidential system, it's not always that the president will come from the majority. That's why it's a different system. The president could be attached to the minority in Parliament. That can happen. And so even that's why the question of if you just plant somebody called Leader of Opposition with that intention, you might find a lot of confusion eventually with minority, with majority.
The president's proposal has raised questions on whether he can secure the constitutional amendments through the parliamentary route without the need of a referendum.
The question of whether this must go to the referendum is a clear yes, because in the first instance you are disturbing this structure. So are you going to have a leader of opposition and still have minority leader and majority leader? So that question has to be answered. It means you're disturbing that structure of the legislature at the end of the day. And because of that, you're touching on one very important thing that Kenyans said in Article 255, one issue that if that has to be disturbed, at the end of the day, whether you start through Parliament or through a popular initiative, it is Kenyans who have to decide on that question through a referendum. And that is on the functions of Parliament. So introducing this position does affect the functions of Parliament in a broader sense.
The aborted Building Bridges initiative, which was supported by former President Uhuru Kenyatta and his handshake partner Raila Odinga, also sought to amend the constitution to expand the executive, including creating the office of the official opposition leader. Now, Azimio leaders are accusing Ruto, who opposed the initiative then, of trying to return BBI through the back door.
Our constitution is something that must go to the people, for the people to decide before it is taken to Parliament. Now, Ruto is saying that for the creation of the leader opposition, all he needs to do is to write to Parliament. But we had that office created under BBI. At that time he said no. He should tell us why he was opposed.
Is President Ruto falling into the same trap that the Supreme Court flagged when it termed the BBI unconstitutional?
That under our constitutional architecture, the president cannot initiate the process of amendment of the constitution as a popular initiative.
So beyond the incongruence, you find the unnecessarily, creation of the office, which at the end of the day just makes it sound like it's a consolation prize for the person who becomes runner-up during the presidential elections.
President Ruto has also proposed to have the National Government Constituency Development Fund (CDF) entrenched in the constitution. And with the ever-elusive two-thirds gender rule in Parliament, the head of state wants lawmakers to create a formula to actualize the provision in Parliament. A formula that will enable a top-up of either gender in the House through nomination. Vincent Odur, NTV.